لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. إنك أنت رب زدنا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So continuing with the theme and the issue of jihad and qital. We mentioned that jihad means to struggle. In the terminology of Sharia, to struggle by whatever means is necessary and appropriate to raise the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and establish His deen. And we mentioned that that takes place in the individual, takes place in the family, takes place in the larger community. So this also points to a very important aspect of Islamic law, and that is the concept of tadrij bit-tashri', which basically means that Sharia came into position, or it was enforced not one time, it was enforced, it was brought into being stage by stage. And it's a very organic process. And with this, it's also important to understand that with the Islamic rules, they didn't just come as legislation imposed upon the people without preparation. This is very important to understand because legislation does not change the behavior of people. Passing a law doesn't change people's hearts, it doesn't change people's minds. You may impose a type of control on people, but you won't change the behavior of people sustainably. It has to come with da'wat, tarbiyah, and ta'lim. There has to be invitation, there has to be education, and there has to be nurturing. You have to prepare, just as you have to prepare the soil before you plant the seeds to get the outcome. To change behavior of human beings, you have to prepare the hearts and the minds. So therefore, we find that all of these injunctions, whether it be about jihad, whether it be the prohibition of wine, the prohibition of inappropriate economic practices, etc., they came in stages. So similarly, qital, they came in stages. Initially in Mecca, the Muslims were ordered to keep their hands down. In other words, to not retaliate, remain patient. Whatever the mushrikeen did to them, they were to remain patient. After coming to Medina Munawwara, the continuance of the tyranny of the mushriks and the continuous attack and the escalation of confrontation. So now, ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave permission to retaliate to the extent that people, accost you and attack you. And so therefore, in this ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that fight those who fight you, but do not transgress, which means what? Those people who are actually engaged in fighting with you, fight them. So that also infers that women are not fighting with you, children are not fighting with you, religious people in their monasteries or wherever they are, they're not fighting with you. Only those people who are actually engaged in fighting with you are you allowed to fight, and in the process of war, how these people get killed. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam explicitly gave the order that no woman, no child, no tree is even to be cut. Not only human beings, but also property unnecessarily being destroyed is also ifsad fil ard. So our concept of warfare is not a concept of retaliation, getting the overhand, overpowering people, challenging and dominating people in countries and continents. Again, it is to raise the deen of Allah, which is justice, which is equity, which is betterment and khair for the entirety of humanity. So let us understand that, and then there's a few more points that we want to mention before we move on to the next ayat. وبالله التوفيق وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم.